Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This one's very different, as you can see. We're just doing a Q&A because recently we've had a lot of questions on YouTube, and then we put out a little bit of a thing on Instagram to get more questions, and then Laura was at home recently for a few weeks working, and we had more questions there, so we thought let's just kind of put them all together in one video, and we're going to do it with all our podcasty stuff, because if you don't want to watch this because it's going to be just us talking, you can catch us on our podcast that we have not done anything on in about 18 months. So we did one episode last summer and we haven't done one since. So yeah, if you want to check that, it's in the description below if you want to just listen to this. So it's on Spotify and everything else. So yeah, we thought let's just kind of get started with that. We asked on, recently we've had a lot of questions on YouTube, like quite in-depth questions, which were too hard to reply to on just in the comments. So we thought let's just make a big long video. So I've got 10 questions. 5 of them are from YouTube, 5 of them are from Instagram, and then a lot of them kind of cross over each other, so we'll not like go into super detail into every single one. And then even at home, everyone asks the same like 2 or 3 questions. So we'll just skip right through it. But we're going to start actually with the first question from our first Patreon.
That's exciting.
So basically, we haven't announced this, but this hasn't gone anywhere. And we had no intention to do Patreon, so I thought we'll start with that first. But basically, about 6 weeks ago, somebody asked on our YouTube, why don't you open a Patreon? Would love to support you. And we thought, no, we'll do that maybe in like another 6 to 12 months. And then last week I thought, let me just go on and see what it's like. How do you actually make it? What is the actual process? Like what needs to be involved in it? And we made it with nothing on it. I literally just signed up, made a Sailing Amari account, had nothing on it, and within 12 hours somebody actually subscribed to it, which is crazy. So first up, John, thank you very much, has asked us just a very generic, like, what is our sailing plans for next year? And I think before to answer that, we actually have to answer where we are right now. Because in our last episode that you just watched, we were in...
Oh, okay, we were in Croatia.
We were in Croatia with the plans to go to Turkey. That did not happen. It didn't work out. We didn't get that far. We had problems, and as you saw at the start of the year, it started a lot later and a lot more stressful than we wanted. So our plan to kind of get started for June or May, June didn't start until really August. So we didn't have enough time to get to Turkey. So we're currently in Greece. We're in a place called Messalongi, which has been really nice. There's a really great community there, or here. And yeah, it's nice. So our plans for next year, what are they? We haven't actually discussed in huge depth about this.
But it's hard to plan on that's the thing we love about this lifestyle. Like, you can't...
Well, love and hate.
Well, yeah, love and hate. It does make it more difficult to make decisions, but the fact that you can just say tomorrow we want to go here if the weather permits, or in 6 months' time we want to be here if we can get there, like, it's hard to decide what we want to do. I think the biggest thing we know we want to do is take our time this year, because we started so late in the season last year, especially when we had to do so much work. It was our first time ever sailing, really, like being on the boat by ourselves. The dogs learned how to adapt to living on the boat, learning to live away from family, friends, a different work type of environment, video and everything. Like, it was a lot to adapt to. So we didn't get to actually properly enjoy the places we went to. Yes, we did. We did have fun and we did enjoy them, but we weren't able to actually immerse ourselves.
Yeah, we couldn't go we couldn't do any of the typical like in the last video we were in Havar, and we wanted so much just to go into the town and do the sightseeing stuff, and we couldn't do it. Whereas next year we really want to focus on going somewhere, spending some time there, and actually getting a feel of what the place is like, rather than just rush. And so that's what we've learned. And also we have learned really that don't plan anything too far in advance, because I mean, we booked our marina in Turkey a year ago, and now in hindsight it's so hard to plan for a year in advance. we could try and leave here in March, April, and our engine doesn't work, and that's a real life issue that if that happens, that puts off so much as to how far we can go and what we can do. So yeah, I think overall goal, I think we still want to go towards Turkey.
Yeah, we want the Aegean is our goal next year.
Yeah.
Like, is our goal to sail the Aegean, and then hopefully the plan would be to winter in Turkey.
For maybe just 2 or 3 months. I don't think a huge amount of time.
Yeah, maybe even only go into a marina for maybe
2 months.
2 months,
yeah.
just to get some work done. We want to... The plan originally was this winter to redo our bimini and spray hood, but it's just not feasible with me flying home so much.
Yeah.
And we're not willing at this moment in time, or affording this moment in time, to pay someone to do the whole enclosure.
Yeah,
because we would need a whole what do you call that structure? Stainless steel structure. But anyway, that's a whole other question. But yeah, Aegean, Turkey. The original plan was to do the Caribbean, cross over the Atlantic and do the Caribbean, but it's too rushed. We want to enjoy the Mediterranean too.
It's not even that. I think we just don't have the money to put the boat in the right position
to cross. Yeah,
like we would need a lot of new stuff.
A lot of new stuff.
Like just general stuff. Radar. We would need. I don't know if we'd need all of new rigging, but we'd need we'd need new rigging to hold which is the mast up, to hold the mast up. That needs replaced every 10-15 years. So there's a lot of things like that cost obviously a lot of money, and I think it would probably cost us €15,000 to actually get the boat into position to cross, which we don't have. So unless something changes, or unless we get a survey done on the rig and it's actually okay, well then that could maybe change a lot of that.
But it's highly unlikely. We'll be doing the Aegean in Turkey.
Yeah.
Most likely next year.
I would guess. Yeah.
Okay.
So
next
question. Sorry about that.
That was a ramble.
But yes, thank you very much for that, John. Second question is... Okay, the next 3 questions are from the same guy, and it was a really detailed set of questions a few weeks ago that I got on one of an old video. And the first one was pretty much the whole purpose was, in our kind of channel trailer video, we said about we wanted to just escape the rat race and just screw it, let's do something crazy. He's asking, why sailing?
It's not something that I have ever wanted to do.
Yeah.
I confidently could say that. Even now, it's not something... The sailing part is not what I'm here for.
Yeah.
Why not a motorboat? Money. Comfort. But I get more seasick on motorboats somehow.
Well, I don't think motorboats were ever in the question.
No, they weren't. But if you're going
no, they definitely
if you're going to say boating, why sailing? Why motor? Why not motor?
No, it was specifically just why boating. Why? Did
oh,
you
right.
choose
Okay. Why
that
boating in
lifestyle?
general? The original plan we were going to do was renovate a van into a motorhome and then just drive around Europe. After a very short time frame of discussing that, maybe a few days.
Well, it was a bit longer. I think I got really obsessed with the idea of doing that because I think it would be cool.
Yeah, and this was during COVID, so we were locked down. We needed... Yes, it was.
We looked at it way before COVID. Like a year
yes,
before
no, sorry,
COVID.
we did. Sorry, we did.
And I got really obsessed with the whole idea. The problem was, realistically, it was actually going to cost a lot of money. And, I mean, it doesn't have to, but it was going to cost quite a lot. And we thought, okay, well, if we could stretch a little bit, what other things is there? And for years, I've watched sailing channels. Never with the intention of that's something that's even something I'm interested in doing. It's just, I love the idea of traveling. I love the ocean. It just looks like, looks cool. And I watched for years, and you watched for a little bit as well, some channels. So I think when we kind of discovered how expensive the van life was going to be, I think...
Little did we know how expensive the boating life was going to be.
We thought, let's look at the idea of sailing. It wasn't likely to happen, but let's just look at it. Let's see how much you can get. I know boats are super expensive, but what could we feasibly get for say €50,000, or a little 50,000, 60,000 euros, and that's kind of how it all started.
The biggest thing though was Europe was too limiting for us. We wanted to be able to go further.
Between that and I think the idea of waking up in a really nice anchorage is much nicer than waking up in a car park. Now I get there's definitely benefits there's definitely a lot of benefits of choosing the van lifestyle. A lot more of it, like a lot of benefits, but I don't know, there was no real reason. And in terms of
travel,
escaping the rat race, it was just let's go travel, because we love travel, and it's the one thing that was
and it was that we couldn't go backpacking to travel because we had Ellie. We didn't have Cooper at the time. We had Ellie, and there was, yes, people will probably say, well, sure, you could have just left her, or why did you get her in the first place? But we got her when we got married
with zero intention to leave,
with zero intention to just, other than to do maybe a 2-3 week holiday here or there, and we could put her into kennels, her family could look after her. Like, there was no intention. As much as we wanted, we always had that in us. We just never thought of, like, yes, let's do that and travel. So and there was absolutely no question we were not doing it without her. Absolutely no question. And if the dogs did not like sailing, we were stopping sailing. It was
well, we said we would do it for 1 year, and we're still not there yet. So
we're still not there, but they have no problems. So
well, speaking of, that's the second part of the question. How has adapting to this lifestyle been, ourselves and dogs? I think I'll maybe start. Like,
okay.
I think it's been we'll maybe do a video of this on next year, because it's interesting just looking at the expectation versus reality. But in terms of the actual adapting to it, it's gone relatively smoothly, like, across the board. Yes, there's struggles, of course, and we'll get into that in some later questions, but I think in terms of the dogs, they've done really well.
Absolutely. Like, you couldn't expect them to do any or want them to do any differently.
Yes, on some of these longer sails that we did, they're not super happy, but they're not miserable. They're just like, I want to go play, I want to, like, and
they're not comfortable.
Like,
they're not relaxed, but they're also not
but that could
stressed.
Come as well. I think this year we were, from never being on a boat to we're pretty much going sailing every other day, just trying to get further and further south. They kind of got thrown in at the deep end. Yes, we didn't do any super long sails, but they were constantly on the move, and they got used to it pretty well, and they liked the idea. Eventually they started to get this, like, once they saw land and they saw us coming into anchors, they were like up in the bow and seeing what was going on. Cooper
especially, he learnt once the anchor noise stopped,
he could go swimming, or he could go to the toilet,
was sold from that moment that he could learn to swim. Ellie is that easygoing. She's fine no matter where we are. She's happy. She is more, because she is more lazy on passages. She is happy just to lie, and
she likes to
lie in between our legs. Cooper would struggle to settle more.
But he's like that in a car as well.
He didn't really like cars in the first place.
Ellie loves cars. She loves traveling. So if she can get beside you or lie in between your legs, she's completely content. And I think that's more for the safety, just to make her feel that she's not going to fall over. I think that's the only reason. Whereas Coop just finds a corner and rolls up into a ball, as you've seen.
And it's always the corner of the wheel and the throttle.
So, next question from Chris. This is the last one. Anything that was completely unexpected that we both love and or hate about the lifestyle that we didn't see coming? And he said other than 5-minute jobs taking 2 hours or.
Well, yes, and I would
say that's by far the worst.
The worst.
Planning
and also
anything.
And getting anything, like getting supplies,
and that but that comes into the same thing. I mean, that's why these jobs take so long. It's, you see something and at home he's like, okay, I just need to run to a hardware store. It's 5 minutes away. Let me just go grab this. Here it's like, okay, where's the closest town with the store? Okay, it's 50 miles away. Realistically, that's 2 days, and then. Okay, fine, let's go get it. Oh, they don't have what you need. Where's the next one? And the reality is, we're in the Med, and people who are in the Caribbean are laughing at us, and people who are in the Pacific are like, what are you talking about? Wait until
even here, it's been difficult. I did not expect it to be as difficult in the Mediterranean.
In Europe, no.
Yeah.
I mean,
I expected it.
It's
when
worrying.
You go further
it's
afield.
Worrying that if it's this bad here, what it's going to be like actually away and remote. So.
But then, does COVID affect that?
No, I don't think so.
No. You know,
I think it's just like in Greece here, there's 3 chandleries in this town, and you can't get anything that you need. So you have to order from Germany, and then it takes a week to get here. And then
which is still not that long.
No, it's not.
But it's fine when you're in the marina for a few months, and that's fine. But if you're only there for a few days, it's hard when you have to wait around for. But
so that's the
lifestyle we chose, and it's a one negative that you can take for all the positives. Like, it's not.
But what about a surprising positive? Anything that you unexpectedly
for
love
me,
about it?
I think the biggest thing that stands out would be, as much as you hear all the stories about the sailing community and the, like, oh, they're great, and like until you actually experience it, you can't. Yes, you can be like, oh yeah, that's cool, but like until you're actually in a community with sailing people and you meet like-minded people like you, you're all dealing with the same. You're all dealing with the same difficulties, the same enjoyment factors. Like,
I think that it's by far the most surprising thing, and we were talking about this with some friends last night.
Yeah,
it
was a really good example that Tony did.
Well, yeah, you can talk about that, but I think there's no other part of the planet, no other community really, where no matter your background, no matter your age, no matter your gender, no matter how much wealth you have, no matter if you're on a €5 million boat or a €5,000 boat, you all have the same problems. You all have the same benefits. You all have the same, like, every morning you wake up, you see what the weather is, you get out, you look at how beautiful the area is around you, you see the other boats, and yes, like, your problems might be slightly different than the guy next to you, but whenever you sit down and you're like, are you coming over, you just bump into someone for 5 seconds and you're like, do you want to go for a beer, or do you want to have dinner?
Like, for example, like Tony, our friend Tony, was saying last night, like, at home, would you ever go to a gas station, pick up gas, and the guy next to you is getting gas, and say, oh, here, you seem like a cool guy, want to come for a drink?
Yeah, it doesn't
Which is
happen.
What we do here. Like, we could be getting gas in our boat, or diesel or whatever in our boat, and you're like, do you want to come for a drink?
And it's just it's the most sociable community and the most helpful, and I'll come back to this story every time. Like, the first people that we met, and this surprises me the most because you wouldn't expect it. They were in a £3 million like Princess 65, which is like a beautiful big motorboat, absolutely, and they're a British couple, and we just sat and talked to them for ages. And everything died, cameras, mics, everything. So yeah, basically this story I keep coming back to about the people with this really nice boat. At the time, we were just got our dinghy and our outboard, and we needed a way to try and lift the dinghy up, and we needed for the outboard as well, we needed some straps, and we needed ratchet straps and other things. And this guy just goes into his boat and literally just gives me a bag full of stuff, like brand new things never used. And I know it's a small thing, a small deal for somebody who has a lot of money, but it's more the point of, I just don't know why, it just always hit me like it's a point of, at home, that would never happen, really, would it?
No. Well, not really.
So yeah, that's probably been the biggest surprise positive. Another negative, I guess, would be the weather. Not a negative. I mean, you obviously know that you're kind of at mercy of the weather and everything. But there was a point where I think we've had 2 really stressful times with weather. Well, one really stressful. And basically, I think that the weather is something that you're well aware of, but I mean, everything relies on the weather here. You're checking the forecasts 4 or 5 times a day. You're just checking like every single thing that you can just to see if there's any chance that there's a wind shift or a storm that might come through. So that's been a big unexpected thing. And the one particular time, which we haven't really talked about, and it's not on the YouTube channel, and it might be in a few videos time, but there wasn't very much we filmed at the time.
It was too scary to film.
Yeah, basically we were in an anchorage with quite deep anchorage. There was 0 knots of wind predicted the entire night. There was nothing, absolutely nothing. The rain, the wind, it was just perfectly calm. And we were out walking the dogs, and we got back quite late. And for some reason I was like, I'm just going to put some more chain out. I think it was because the anchorage was completely empty, bar one other little boat on a mooring ball. And so we just put some extra chain out, and thank goodness we did, because at about 3 a.m. I woke up to a little bit of rain coming through the hatch. And I woke up, went to close the hatch, got the dogs in from outside, and literally within 30 seconds, it was from 0 to 70 knots of wind. And it was pretty terrifying. The boat was just like the wind was coming very slightly from like right in front of us, and then all of a sudden it was just 70 knots, bam, from the side. That was pretty scary. So, but I think in general, you kind of appreciate the weather a lot more out here, but also you just have to be so aware of it. And it wasn't that we weren't aware of that before starting, but I think
it's whenever it comes when it's not predicted is the
I think
harder part.
Between that
and it was our first experience
first
with weather storm like that. Like, yeah, and it was just...
Yeah.
And we'd only been on the boat for maybe 4 weeks.
We'd been anchoring for about 4 weeks, and luckily we just had the new anchor chain with so
it was just all new to us. So I would, if it happened now, like it did happen here in Messalonga when we were at Anchorage, not as intense, but even then we were like, oh, okay, that's wind.
Yeah, it's not as big.
It wasn't. The only issue was getting the dogs ashore.
Yeah,
that would be the harder thing would be in the bad weather is getting the dogs ashore.
Yeah, but yeah, I think that's pretty much unexpected. Pros and cons, and there's other stuff as well, but they're the big thing. Okay, we're having serious camera problems. It keeps turning off. But our next question for the 4th time is from our friend Alison, and she says, is there any job that we have done so far that has been easier than expected? No. Yeah. Next question.
That's it. That's all we need to say in that matter.
So the next set of questions is from Instagram. Yesterday we asked on Instagram stories. The first one is, when do you plan to start sailing again? And it will be end of March,
start of April.
Yeah. Before that, it's too cold, and we want to try to be away for April. So, the next one is, what do we like the most and the least about this particular boat? So if you're new to the channel, it's an Elan 434 from 2007 or 2008. I think we both definitely agree that the layout is the best thing about this boat. Interior, and that's what we bought the boat for, and that kind of seems super stupid, but the overall layout, it feels like an apartment as opposed to some other boats that feel like a boat, which doesn't make any sense. But if you've been on boats, if you've been on boats, you'll know what I mean.
So our galley is separate from our living area in a way. So like we've got the L-shaped galley.
Yeah.
We liked that was kind of separate. It does make it feel more like an apartment.
Don't get me wrong, the bedrooms are still small. There's still a lot of things that we prefer, like in other different types of boats. But in terms of this boat, that's definitely the best thing. Yeah. Living space, cockpit, everything else. The worst thing.
One negative is the number, like the length,
the size. Wow, the number. Just because it's over 40 foot, we have to pay extra taxes, and we have to pay extra for mooring fees and stuff. It just goes
over that bracket.
So they're probably the things, but in terms of the actual boat itself, nothing. I think it's pretty good. I've had no issues with it.
I don't really have anything that I would say I don't like about it.
We're pretty happy with it. Yes, there's upgrades that we need to do and that we have done, which make it better. Which is the next thing. He says, have you done anything specifically for winter?
No,
no,
Peter,
not yet.
When I was in the UK, Peter was meant to be installing our diesel heater, but unfortunately,
so we bought a super cheap diesel heater, which is, they're fine. We've had a lot of people that we know that have used them and swear by them. So I bought that because it was easy to buy, and then only after that realized how much like piping and stuff that we'd need to buy, and again isn't an issue, and even running it on this boat isn't an issue because everything's pre-cut almost. You just need to kind of like knock through some holes, but the price of the flipping tubing is insane, so I didn't expect that, and so I worked for ages to try and see could I install it somewhere further forward in the boat that meant that we could, I don't know, use less tubing. So unfortunately it doesn't look like that's going to have to happen, so just because of where the exhaust has to come out. So that's the only job that we'll do to try and make the boat more winter friendly, I think. I would guess. Yeah. But other projects that we're doing this year, not that this is a question, But for this winter is we're going to put new batteries in, an inverter, and that's pretty much it. Yes, there's a lot of little small things like just servicing stuff and maintenance stuff, but as in terms of actual
big projects,
yeah, that's what it is. And there will be some videos on those in probably the next month or so.
He says that very confidently.
The next question is from Christina, and she said, how are we really doing with this lifestyle? Like, it's easy to see, or it's easy to look at people on social media and think everything's great. We try on YouTube to really show that that's not the case. And the same with Instagram. Yeah. There's a lot of times that we're just like feeling pretty crappy. And at the moment, our YouTube videos is all pretty much feeling crappy because everything at the start was so bad.
You wouldn't think we're positive people going by our YouTube.
So yeah, we I think in general, we both are really happy with the decision we've made to come out here.
Yeah, definitely. Like, yes, there's some negatives. Like, you don't have family handy, and but
I think it's definitely a struggle in ways that you expect and ways that you don't expect. But the thing is, it's worth it.
Oh yeah.
I think it's no matter what.
I would still choose this lifestyle over
yeah,
Groundhog Day, rat race, whatever you wanna.
We're really happy. I think the other thing is during summer we spent a lot of time kind of just the two of us on the boat with nobody else around because, well, we had family who wanted to come out but didn't because of COVID, and then we had. We're in Croatia where there's not a lot of liveaboards, it's just charter people and they don't really care to meet you because they're on holiday and they're not doing the same thing as us. So yeah, I think it's definitely the case that we were pretty on our own for 6 or 7 weeks. But since coming to Greece, it's been great. But a lot of people would really struggle with those.
No, even being on our own, we're okay.
We're fine with that.
For the most part, yeah. Like yes. Like 6-8 weeks alone is a long time, so when you get to that point it's hard, but because we have the dogs,
especially when Laura's annoying,
because we have the dogs, it's good though, because like one of us can go and walk them, we get a bit of a break from each other, they're extra company, it's not like it's just us two on the boat, they're like, so
yes, we're
the dogs are a good buffer.
Yeah, I think if it was just the two of us you'd probably fight a lot more, and yeah, but in general it's pretty good.
We don't fight that much though.
No,
we're bigger.
Just So yes, final question from Instagram. Well, 2 small really quick questions. First one was from Sailing Sea Pearl, which is friends we met in Dubrovnik. And now they're across to the Caribbean, so good for you.
They've arrived. Congratulations, guys.
They've asked if we take photo classes. No. We had a business before we left, like a wedding photography and video company. So that's pretty much where we learned a lot of it, and also in school. That's pretty much it.
It's just a hobby. It's just something we've both always been interested in, enjoy doing. Peter would be more videos, I'd be more photos.
Yeah. But that's pretty much it. The final thing is about Cooper. We get the question a lot actually about
what he is.
What are the dogs? And it happens all the time, even when we're walking them here. They are both golden retrievers, although they are very different looking.
Yeah, Ellie is like your standard family
golden retriever.
Cooper,
is a pain in the ass.
We've been asked if he's a working line golden retriever, and he does look like one.
I've no idea.
But we weren't informed that he is. His mum definitely isn't. Dad, it's a possibility. Dad's the same kind of stature, shape. But he didn't work.
No.
Like, you know what I mean? Like he didn't come from like he didn't have an income. He didn't come from like a farming background or anything like that. The dad was just a family dog.
No. But yeah, so that's pretty much it.
He could have it in his bloodline, but he's just crazy. He's just
an idiot.
Yeah, he's just crazy.
But yeah, so that's us. Pretty much all of our questions. I'm sure there's other that we've missed out. But that covers most of the basics. So yeah, thanks for asking them. Whoever did. I think
we've covered the basics.
If you have any recommendations at all for where we should try and go to next year, going east from here, from islands and the Aegean or Turkey or whatever, please leave them down. Same as the Peloponnese. We're not going to be able to go through the Corinth Canal, which is something we really wanted to do, but it's closed and it has been for about a year.
But on the plus side, it means we get to experience a part of Greece we probably never would have sailed before. It was closed. Was open, sorry.
So that's us.
Silver lining everywhere, guys.
Yeah. So thank you so much for watching. And I hope you guys have a Merry Christmas. And if you've supported us at all anyway, this kind of last few months, whether you've watched a video, you've liked a video, or you've commented, thank you so much. It's especially when we're kind of putting out YouTube stuff, it's awkward whenever the videos are so bad, but it's nice also to see people being supportive, especially when they don't get a lot of views, which is obviously expected. But we hope you have a good Christmas, and we will see you. We'll probably post one more video before the end of the year, and then next year it's all going to be uphill, hopefully. This time next year we'll be millionaires.
What?
It's Del Boy.
No one is going to get a Del Boy reference.
If you get it, put it in the comments down below. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll catch you guys in the next one, and thanks for watching.
Bye. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Bye.